Hey everybody, I just got done playing the 1348X Voto Demo and I have a lot to say, most of which is going to be frankly bad to be honest, but you know, let's just get into it. For those of you who haven't heard of the game yet, I'll drop a bit of context. If you're already in the know though, feel free to skip to the timestamp on screen. Further timestamps will be in the description as well. So X Voto made itself known last month in January of 2025 in the middle of a controversy that was hitting a indie game. I cover the whole situation in these two videos here, one of which was just a straight up rant, like I just went back and I got a bunch of receipts and I just kind of put it all on the table. If you're interested in that, the links will be in the description of this video. But in short, this independent game by the name of Knight's Path got itself into a bit of hot water for no reason whatsoever. Seriously, it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Initially it was because the developers shared this picture of a romanceable character on X, which got a bunch of people mad because, oh my goodness, how could you be so daring as to make a video game in which there are good looking female characters, how could this be, it's unacceptable, blah blah blah, you know, even the game journalists got riled up over it. Paul Tassi, who often writes for Forbes, was literally baffled by it. He had never seen such a thing. If this doesn't show the state of games journalism these days, I don't know what will, but I mean, who am I kidding, fellas? They kind of embarrass themselves on a daily basis now, so there's no shortage of examples to draw from. But anyway, what made the controversy grow was that with all the hate that this was getting, you know, it was getting it attention, and so the game's page on social media and Steam began getting a bunch of new followers, wish lists, and questions. One of the questions was whether or not there'd be a playable female character, and they said no, it's a dude character. Simple answer, no fuss, no muss. At this point it's also worthy noting that someone asked if there would be male romanceable characters, and the studio simply answered no as well. Once again, no big deal. But then the big bomb dropped. Someone asked if there would be any LGBTQ+ representation at all, and the studio answered with this: we care about gaming and fun, not modern agendas. And at this point the controversy exploded onto the mainstream. Loads of hate being thrown at the developers, people sharing the page, calling them and the game homophobic, cranking the wheels of cancel culture over yet another normal answer. You know, some morons like to come out and say that the answer in and of itself is an agenda. One of my videos on the situation covered that exactly, including the words of a pretty big content creator, but they're frankly all delusional or just lying. They had already been asked if there was gay romance. The answer was a simple no. When doubled down and asked if there's going to be LGBTQ+ representation, which is even far different than a simple same-sex romance in an RPG, they answered they were not interested in any modern agenda, because that's exactly what this modern understanding of representation is these days in various video games in the industry. And it's funny that even the X Voto developers would agree with this sentiment, but we still have people lying to themselves and deflecting, pretending like things are not what they are while playing these tiresome culture war mind games. But anyway, enough recap on that. It was during this controversy that this X Voto game came into the light. It had been getting its announcement shared around by big gaming outlets like IGN already around this time, and so because this game trailer featured pretty much the opposite of what Knight's Path was doing by being a playable woman who looks unconventional, and that's me putting it mildly because frankly, if I was to be brutally honest, I'd say these characters look downright terrible, but moving on. Also, the woman looks like a boy, so we're stepping into the realms of gender non-conforming queer stuff, and the romance in game is another girl, so in short, instead of a playable man in an adventure with romanceable cuties in a low fantasy medieval RPG, we have a playable queer girl with a god-awful bowl cut.
What I will say about Ice's bowl cut is, I think it's quite hot and historically accurate. Historically accurate! So back off, haters, haters of the bowl cut.
How about new?
My first reaction to Bianca was that I fancied her loads.
You young boys, Valdez.
Are you a madman?
With a romanceable malnourished girl LARPing as a knight in what is meant to be actual medieval Italy in a tale of struggle and bravery and, you know, whatever the fuck else. Basically a classic knight's tale, you know what I mean? Beat the bad guy, save the girl, except you play as a queer woman.
Ayata, she's slightly genderqueer in that, like, people mistake her for being a boy and a man, and she's like, yeah, great.
Who looks like a little boy. There you go. Some of these elements that I just mentioned, by the way, particularly the queer and gay stuff, were things that I mentioned before on social media because that's what it looked like to me, right? So it's stuff that I said this game seemed like it was going to be doing from good old pattern recognition. And people got mad at me, raging at me on social media and shit, literally for nothing. As in a recent behind-the-scenes video for the game, which we'll get to later in this video, the actresses of the two characters just went and confirmed it. I got all these soy boys mad at me and I was just right. Like, guys, I wasn't trying to be a jerk when I said those things, I was just honestly describing what was in front of me. What do you want me to do? There's even LGBTQ plus people on the internet saying it themselves, like this is how they're describing this game themselves, like as a victory basically, and everything is fine. But if I say the same thing, oh Des, it's a right-wing grifter. Anyway, so that's essentially what happened, and this game, Photo 1348, got itself a huge boost on social media thanks to this. The page even mocked Knight's Path for its comment about modern agendas by telling everyone to please mark their release date of March 12, 2025, sorry, 2026, on their modern agendas. Very clever, very nice, and well, we're 3 weeks away from this release date, so let's have a look at the game and see if all this bravado and manufactured hype translates to the actual game. Oh, one last thing before we jump into my thoughts, just before I forget, I just want to say that when this whole controversy happened, IGN's published trailer of 1348X Voto got 6.5 million views and 27,000 likes. And this was such a seemingly crazy amount of support that anti-woke people online, who have basically become even more annoying and obnoxious than the most omega chud anti-woke channels out there, were dancing around praising it as a total victory over Knight's Path. Meanwhile, this is what the game's demo peaked at on Steam: 122 people. While measuring things through a demo is complicated and not really the best thing to do, it is pretty insane to see the ratio regardless. Like, remember, this whole controversy happened just 1 month ago, and despite this hitting these crazy numbers on social media, the game's demo itself, which is free, totally free, by the way, watch the video, of course, you know, thank you very much for watching and all that good stuff. But if you want to try it out yourselves, you know, when something is free to try, there's no reason not to try it and make your own opinion. But as I was saying, so the demo is free and it's just sitting here with crickets. The game devs take the brave step to call out to the modern audience and clearly state that, hey guys, we are with you, our game is not like this chud Knight's Path game, we are one of you and this is specifically for you. And still, it looks like the modern audience is refusing to show up, potentially amounting to yet another case that shows that whatever happens on social media with barrages of likes and praise does not translate well to real life. But I guess we'll definitely see what happens when the game releases. I'll be here for sure, like I'll give the game a fair shake the way I gave the demo. I will not crucify a game over design decisions, especially like this, where even though they admittedly are going for LGBTQ+ themes, they're doing it independently. It's literally what I preach about on this channel. Stop infiltrating major AAA companies, stop co-opting established beloved franchises and changing them for political or ideological points, stop taking things that don't appeal nor belong to you just to force them to represent you while leaving the original fan bases stranded. Stop killing major AAA franchises with unpopular ideas and just go off and make your own games with your own budget and your own scope fit for games with, you know, those ideas. But of course, that still doesn't mean that I won't criticize it or laugh at dumb things that I find in these games. I mean, that's just criticism, it's fair game, it's the same as any other game that I play and criticize that has nothing to do with ideology. I'd love to stream it, but my internet situation is still not ideal, but regardless, you may at least expect a video, unless I'm like broke as hell, then I'll skip it and do it at a later date. But anyway, we'll see what happens and definitely see if the modern audience finally shows up. As for the demo itself, starting now, 9 minutes later, what do you want me to do, guys? Anyway, I'm gonna be real. I went in expecting a lot better, but it was just awful. Initially, I thought that since this was doing something more limited as opposed to Knight's Path, which is basically a video game being made by like 5 people trying to create a whole ass RPG, I expected Voto to have its smaller ambition and scope as an advantage. I expected something small but tight, competently made. Something fun, engaging and good looking, since the trailer was showing a lot of shots that looked good. Pretty much the only thing I expected to look like crap were the characters due to design choices and, lower budget constraints. Instead, the demo is just awful and completely useless from the standpoint of why you would release it. Like, I don't understand why they even put this out, is what I'm trying to say. It's insanely short. You can get this done in under half an hour. Like, I have half an hour of playtime logged on this, and I had to play it an extra time because I had a recording error on the second half of it. This endeavor has caused me great physical pain. But anyway, the worst part is that it puts the game in a really bad light. First of all, it makes the combat look insanely outdated, clunky, boring and flat. If you go on the game's page, you'll see them say this there. Experience thrilling sword fighting and cinematic combat inspired by historical European martial arts, aka HEMA, and animated with the help of trained performance capture artists. But like, I don't know how else to say this. This isn't in the game, dude. You got 2 stances, one-handed and two-handed. The one-handed version just looks like you're swinging a stick around. The two-handed version is the one that actually does look like it's using one proper HEMA stance, but it regardless feels like crap. Like the way the combat feels, the hits and etc. And there's zero weight to it whatsoever. And one of the other worst things about it is, what's the point of saying you're inspiring your combat in actual HEMA, but then you pay zero attention whatsoever to armor? In this demo, you defeat a fully armored guy by just hitting the dude twice. Most enemies fall down that way. You hit him twice. You hit him a bunch of times first on their swords to break their guard, and then you just hit them twice and they flop to the ground like a little fish. Like, you guys know those memes where like a character just flops, like just ragdolls to the floor, and then it says on screen, "dies of cringe"? That's kind of how they die in this game, and maybe that's intended. Like, I don't know, maybe that's the way that it's supposed to be. Maybe that's how these people are dying, maybe they're seeing this fucking character, the bug-eyed little girl that looks like a dude coming at him like, "I am a knight, Dr. Han!"
I am a surgeon!
And just dying of cringe. Oh, sorry guys, we gotta move on with the video, we gotta move on. There ain't even any execution animations where you could maybe whittle down the enemy stance and then have a, varied kill animations showing where she takes advantage of weak spots or maybe the environment or whatever, or find kinks in the armor to take out the enemy. Like, no, you just swing that crap around like a baseball bat and he's dead. The page mentions that in the full game we're supposed to unlock new combos through skill books. I have no clue if this is referring to something else new that we're gonna find later on, or if it's referring to this menu, which is already in the demo, which shows various skills that you're going to learn. Like, I don't know if we find skill books and they unlock these things here, or if it's skills that are going to be new, separate from these things here that we unlock via special books in the game. If it's this though, it's incredibly basic. As you can see, it just does things like adding an extra swing to a combo. If it's new stuff, that sounds better, but frankly the combat feels so bad, so clunky and so weak at a foundational level that I'm really not hopeful for it at all. Outside of the Steam page and going into the interwebs, I found a couple of posts calling this game a Hellblade-like. And here's the deal, fellas, I'll be real with you, I don't have a problem. I never played Hellblade. By the time I wanted to, I owned the PS5, and I heard that it's broken on PS5, so I just, whatever, I didn't play it. Someday I'll give it a go on PC, I guess. The point is that there's no way in hell that Hellblade plays like this. I just refuse to believe it, straight up. This game got way too much praise back then for the combat to be dog shit. Also, Jesus, it's Ninja Theory, the creators of Heavenly Sword, Enslaved, Odyssey to the West, and the Devil May Cry game that everyone hated for the story, the character design, and maybe even the writing, but reluctantly loved the gameplay of. So there's no way in hell that Hellblade's combat was this basic, boring, impactless, and downright sub-80, okay? But Days, what about besides the combat? Well, besides the combat, I walked around these very narrow and linear pathways. At some point, I checked around some corners and found one little environmental puzzle where you drag a box and you climb it to reach a top part of a ruined house, grab some collectibles, so, I can see exactly the type of game they're going for here, and it's again another design decision that I don't understand. I see too many games going for this choice. Last year, for example, I played a game that I decided not to mention and bury in the depths of my mind because I spent 30 euros on this and it was crap. It was called Echoes Onto the End or Echoes of the End, something like that, and same type of thing as this, modernized characters and ideas. The dialogue was worse, like it was modern dialogue at some points in a fantasy medieval type of setting. A game that fancies itself as going against the grain, and in this case it even had a terrible, borderline detestable main character that I was wondering whether it was intentional, like if we were supposed to hate her, or if it was just the usual incompetence that happened, for example, in Forspoken, where you're not supposed to hate the main character, but it's so terribly written that you do. Once again, we had the same type of design as well, just narrow, restrictive, over-the-shoulder type of pathways, linear stuff, a combat here, then a little area with a little puzzle there, then a little area with a little bit of platforming there, and then again a little area with combat. It's boring as hell, although to its credit, it did have more movement to it. We could jump high, climb things, do a little bit of, it's not parkour, but poor man's parkour. Guys, what do you want me to, I'm trying not to be too rude in this video. Like, can you imagine me making a video about Voto and then this other game starts catching strays? I don't want to be an asshole. But anyway, Voto over here looks like if the developers tried to give you a little bit more of walking speed or something like that, the game would just crash the desktop. Yeah, by the way, it's one of those Unreal Engine 5 games that come out with god-awful performance and optimization, but we'll get there later. The game is in Unreal Engine 5 too and uses its visuals to try and trick you into thinking that it's some kind of actually good game. This is a huge annoyance for me lately. The industry got so used to having games judged by graphics, totally our fault by the way, I'm in the minority here where graphics for me are like the cherry on top of the cake rather than the cake itself in terms of what matters most to me, but sadly way too many people feel the opposite way, and so, graphics became this big thing that games get judged on. And so now we have games like these, like Echoes of Whatever and Voto here, that are incredibly mediocre and janky as fuck because they're being made by obvious amateurs in the industry, but they give off the illusion of being high quality because you look at the screenshots on the store or you look at the trailers and they're using Unreal Engine 5 photorealism schlock that with a little bit of lighting tricks here and there is enough to trick people into thinking that, oh, this is a premium game. Understand that making games like these isn't the problem. The problem is overflooding the market with them and thinking that piggybacking off of games that did it well before, like Hellblade or Last of Us or God of War 2018 to an extent, etc., is going to make your piece of crap earn any special points. This is usually the type of game you make when you have a damn impressive combat system, visuals that make people stop and stare, and no, photorealism schlock doesn't automatically give you that, plus layered and thoughtful level design and a gripping story and lore that makes players forget about blemishes, inconsistencies, and other limitations that are there because of budget constraints or because of it being a smaller studio rather than a studio with the resources of AAA. Instead, Voto is failing at 3 of these things already and the jury's still out on the story. Previous game I mentioned, Echoes of the Past or whatever it's called, failed at 2 of these and did the other 2 in a very mediocre manner, also with weird performance hitches and loads of jank, then sold it at $40. And the thing is, I get it, you want to make money too, but $40 for something that feels like an early access thing is just an insult. Voto looks like it's going for $40 as well, and compared to Echoes of These Nuts, it's looking like a downgrade. In the demo, you run around linear and static corners of a burning Italian town. The movement is heavy, slow, and tanky, despite us playing as a very clearly young and small girl. They had a great opportunity to give us more mobility here. Make Aeta or Aita, I don't know, have looser movement, make her spry, fast, and agile, not just in gameplay but also in the environment. Give her the ability to climb surfaces, maybe throw in some stealth and takedowns. Something fun that would give this character a different edge than focusing so much on the heavy armor knight thing, with the slow, bulky movements and restrictive combat that you'd expect from like some kind of space marine type of guy, while we're very clearly controlling a girl that looks like a little boy, you know, with a laughable bowl cut on top of it. We're going so hard on the whole thing of LARPing as a knight that we're not even thinking about the opportunities being missed and the elements that don't fit. The gameplay in general is practically screaming, hey, you're not here for the gameplay doesn't matter, forget the shitty combat and the slow strict level exploration, what matters here is the story. The story is what's supposed to make you stay, player, but then the story has its own set of problems. What is shown in the demo is what's already visible in the trailer, and there's very little new here except extra context, but the trailer and the demo are just the intro stuff. You're out in the field practicing with your sword and exchanging cringy dialogue with your girlfriend played by Jennifer English. And yes, I mean an actual sword, guys, okay? I'm talking about a real sword, guys, okay? No, not... Come on, guys. Behave, okay? So anyway, your town has been hit heavy with the plague. Your protagonist's parents were nobles and are both apparently gone. Her dad is the one who taught her how to fight and would ask her not to tell her mom, so maybe there's a bit of a theme here of treating her more as a son than a daughter, and the mom apparently just reassured her to be whoever she wanted to be. Yay, happy times. Anyway, the Jennifer English character is a whole other story. She hates her parents' guts, I think one of them is dead, and she's like, yeah, good, glad the plague took him, or something like that, or maybe it's like a stepfather, I don't know, fellas. What I know is that she's now being sent off to nun school, which she also doesn't want to go. Then the bandit attack happens, and she gets kidnapped, and that's it. Now your character swears a vow that she will get her back. So basically we got ourselves a classic revenge/kidnap story, not much else is present here so far. I think they're doing the Last of Us thing where there's no specific antagonist and, you know, it's more the journey through a war and disease-ridden Italy that matters most. Unless they bring out an antagonist into it after the intro, like, I don't know, fucking Bowser taking their girlfriend to another castle or something, I don't know. Anyway, we don't know much about it at all and nothing gripped me whatsoever, nothing at all. The combat and the gameplay made me not want to play any more of this. The boring characters and bland premise made me want to go play something else. I just released a video just yesterday on Metal Garden highlighting this exact problem. Metal Garden is an indie FPS from last year, and I mean actual indie, by the way, not like fake indie with funding from Tencent like Highguard or whatever. And it has a very interesting premise, and towards the end, during the reflection part of the video, after explaining the ending and the story and all that, I said how it's depressing that we don't see interesting premises in modern AAA titles. Just boring, safe, repetitive, and often overdone crap, so it forces me into playing older games or trying to find indie games to sate my thirst. That's how Voto's premise and intro make me feel. Flat protagonist, an interesting design, and oh look, our girlfriend who we were introduced to 5 minutes ago in a cringy cutscene has been kidnapped. Great, yeah, sure, let's go get her, I guess. You go on ahead though. You guys go on ahead first and I'll catch up. I'll be busy over here playing Deus Ex again instead. Worse than that though, you know, because obviously we haven't seen much yet, I was going through this behind the scenes video from the actresses posted by PlayStation and the studio, which is another example of weird indie games that have sudden huge pushes from industry giants and games journalists. Like, you wanna know who pushed Metal Garden? Nobody. You wanna know who pushed Knight's Path? We did. The community. All the clout that game got came from gamers. It didn't have IGN posting the trailers or PlayStation sharing them on their page. But anyway, let's move on. So I was going through this behind the scenes video from the actresses, and let me show you some nice clips from it.
I really passionately want to tell LGBTQ plus stories. There's lots about the character that I've never had the opportunity to play before.
Ayata, she's slightly genderqueer in that, like, people mistake her for being a boy and a man, and she's like, yeah, great.
It's not a coming out story. It's not your usual fare. The longing, the yearning, the complex, messy relationship. That's not what they're wrestling with. What they're wrestling with is the circumstances, and I've not seen that very often in games or in just in media in general.
So basically, the combat is ass, the exploration is barren, the game in general feels super restrictive, heavy, clunky, and buggy. Everything is screaming that we're here for the premise, the writing, and the story. I'd say we should also be here for the setting. After all, Italy is just gorgeous, it's perfect for video game settings, but they're probably going to fumble hard on this because it has no visual identity, no artistic flair. It's just doing what games like Echoes of the Past did, where they hide how shallow the game looks with Unreal Engine 5 photorealism. So we're not here for any of that, and we're supposed to be here for the story, and according to the actresses in the promotional video made to promote the game, we're being told that it's supposed to be an LGBTQ plus story. Again, I don't even know what to say here anymore, dude. Like, it's just this clip right here, guys. It's this clip.
Oh, fuck, here we go again. Here we go again.
It's just same old story, same old tiresome tale. Now I even understand why they got Jennifer English for the role, because of course, you know, now we understand why she feels the need to fixate on this type of crap whenever she does like an award acceptance speech like she did at Golden Joysticks last year. Even when she embarrasses herself by not making any sense. She didn't make sense in her speech at the time, and she's still not making sense here. Like, what do you mean you haven't seen often in games? Like, seriously, let's cut through the empty, vapid celebrity lecture jargon and get the words that she actually said. It's not a coming out story, it's not your usual fare of longing, yearning, or complex, messy relationships. That's not what they're wrestling with. What they're wrestling with are these circumstances. I've not seen that very often in games or just in media in general. Respectfully, of course. Hey, guys, it's me. It's your boy. Always respectfully, huh? Respectfully, what the are you talking about, Jennifer? Have you not played any games at all? Have you not seen any media whatsoever? This is what normal stories look like. Let me get this straight, and please interrupt me in the comments if I'm just not getting this, because I feel like I'm blind drunk right now. According to this vapid rambling that we just heard, this is a queer LGBTQ plus story. However, unlike the usual fares of either coming out or love stories or stories of yearning blah blah blah, it's instead an LGBTQ plus story where what the characters are wrestling with, right? So the characters' challenges are these circumstances of what's going on. So the plague, the war, you know, the kidnapping too, of course. Maybe there's going to be some more, like for example, our protagonist might struggle with the morality of killing a lot of people on her journey. Maybe the other one will too if she struggles against the bandits and maybe, you know, is forced to defend herself. Maybe some abuse may be involved, etc. That's literally every story, sweetheart. Usually, that's how stories work. I don't know if you know this, but usually in stories, at least the good ones, what matters above all is the circumstances of what's going on, not whether you're gay, straight, or whatever else. This is what cooked Dragon Age Veilguard. Instead of focusing on the tyrant gods that are going on, you had Tash struggling with her gender identity. So either I'm missing a massive batch of content, or this actress is actually just like this. Just a classic industry person who doesn't even think of the words that she's speaking. She just yaps about surface level nonsense that sounds good to corporations, you know, to promote her product and virtue signal whenever possible. Now, I'm telling you, man, a lot of people like to take Jennifer English, and because of her excellent work in notable past projects such as Expedition 33 last year and Baldur's Gate 3 in 2023, they glaze her from top to bottom and even have a running joke that any game that she's in gets nominated for a Game of the Year award. Voto is going to need a whole lot more than hiring a prominent industry actress darling to save its life, because shit ain't looking good. Gameplay wise, it's looking cooked. The premise is about as interesting as a kick in the nuts. And now we got marketing for the game advertising it as an LGBTQ+ story. In a way, Jennifer English even kinda lets this slip out, like she lets the truth slip. This is the usual fare, like this is usually what we see. It has become such a usual thing that, again, earlier this year, a random actually independent video game that built its follower base and attained over 300,000 wish lists on Steam from nothing got hounded by mobs online, including game journalists, for committing the crime of not having any LGBTQ+ stuff in it. In many ways, she's right, this has become the usual fare, and it's one that is getting old, stale, boring, lifeless, uninteresting, and downright obnoxious sometimes. Usually industry people like to do the opposite, where they say representation is barely present at all, and so that's why we need to push for more of it. Because what we already have is just not enough, you know, every major company in AAA doing it in their games, and even more of it present all over Hollywood and streaming services is not enough. No, so we gotta do more, we gotta push more levers, hit more marks, even though it keeps proving itself as not successful. There's this weird illusion that this stuff is popular and profitable in real life outside of social media fanfare, and it's doing real damage to studios. It should be dispelled. Even if you want to have a game where you explore certain themes that are somewhat similar, like for example, let's say they want to have a game similar to this where you play as a woman but who is trying to impersonate a man, because she wants to go to war, for example. Like maybe she needs to infiltrate the army to be able to travel with them in search of a friend or lover, whatever it may be, even if it is a woman. Let's say that's the kind of story you want to do, you should be able to do it. But this is not how you market it nor present it. There's no reason to go this hard. Jennifer English didn't need to bring that shit up in relation to a medieval game. I think she just damages it because it makes people like me hear it and think of crap like Dragon Age Veilguard. There's many ways of structuring stories similar to this. I just described one, but again, you don't need to go this hard, even in the design itself, like why make the character look like an ugly malnourished boy? Are gay women supposed to look bad? Is it because of the plague and the pestilence in the setting? If that's it, then fair enough, it fits, I'll take the L. But why the rest? Why the bowl cut? Is our character trying to blend in as a man? This wasn't mentioned, so I don't think this is the case. That's why I'm railing so hard against it. I don't want to see these studios and companies doing badly. I want gaming to be healthy. I wish I could be more suave in the way that I speak, like I wish I could be smoother, you know, I wish I could be more angelic in the way that I speak. I wish I could tone down and speak softly and smile at the camera and giggle sometimes while I deliver crucial advice and brutally honest feedback or reality checks. Like, I wish I could be like that other YouTuber that went big last year after, you know, Asmongold reacted to her videos, etc. The background NPC. Now she has a nice cozy background, you know, she has like little lights in the back and stuff, you know, she speaks softly, she smiles at the camera like, you're fucking up over there, ain't ya? Or maybe, I don't think she, I don't think she even curses, so there you go. Like, I wish I could do that type of thing, you know, so you guys would know, you know, you guys and the developers would know that I'm not doing this just to be an asshole or because I hate you, but I can't. I'm more of the blunt type of guy, you know, I'm like the grumpy uncle who will flip his lid sometimes and put things flat on the table, but who also will give you the best damn Christmas presents you've ever seen, because I care when I say these things. When I talk about these things, I like you as a developer, if any ever end up listening to me, like if the videos actually get somewhere, to realize where you're screwing up and where you can make it better, but without the sugarcoating. Sugar is bad for you, fellas. I understand that this is a back and forth, like I know that I can just sit here and be like, bro, just stop making gay-ass games, like I know that that's not how it works. There's a give and take and, you know, certain things that you should be aware of when you're trying to talk to the industry. Besides that, I genuinely don't care what ideas independent developers pursue with their own IPs, but there has to be some ways where you can pursue your ideas while compromising with the reality and the climate of the industry. Like, I watched that behind the scenes video, I see the previous comments from the Twitter page, I hear these statements from the actresses, and I'm already out. And I'm not even that hard on this. I'm pretty moderate, actually. Like, honestly, like in real life, I don't even have any issues with gay folks, especially gay girls. Like, are you serious? Are you for real? What are we talking about here? That's what it's all about, am I right, boys? I practically held up that industry on my own. Okay. Pause. This is why. This is why I'm never going to get any goddamn sponsors. This is why I'm never going to get any early copies. This is why. But jokes aside, I see that and I'm already out. I'm already making assumptions as to what that means and how it's going to apply in the game, and it's boring me to hell and back. Like, I'm out. Other people out there are making even wilder assumptions of how bad it'll be, and I can't even blame them because of how bad some games have already been over the past few years. Like, it's one of those things where even if I hear something that sounds ridiculous, I can't even call it out like, what are you, stupid? Because it may be true. We've seen crazy things that made no sense so far and were put in games. And so this kind of stuff is always very easily avoidable, and I just don't understand why developers keep doing it to themselves. But anyway, that's that. That's all I had to rant about in this situation specifically. Sorry, fellas. Outside of this LGBTQ plus stuff, in general, this game is facing huge issues. Gameplay and design choices aside, it also runs terribly. I recently got a new PC so I could play new games like these, and especially older ones. It's in no way a beast at all, but it should definitely be good enough to run this game, and yet, the stability on this was terrible. There's bugs, loads of jank, and glaring imperfections in the animations, clipping, pop-in, and facial animations, which are being praised because of the intro cutscene. However, get out of the intro cutscene and look at random characters' faces while fighting you and all that, and it looks like Attack on Titan. And even in the cutscene, like, the animations are varied and they feel real because they are using the motion capture, like they're using full facial capture for the actresses, but it's very unrefined, so some facial expressions just look like look at this, or look at this, or maybe look at this. Like, I took a few screenshots while I was playing. So some of these look really, they look like meme material, straight up. Usually I would say that I don't care much about focusing on these elements, which is why it's the last point in this video, but there's kind of an exception in this case because the game is 3 weeks away, dude. Not 3 months, with plenty of time for issues to be fixed, ironed out, and for feedback to maybe be taken in to make some changes. No, just 3 weeks. It's set for the 12th of March, as far as I know. I don't think this has been delayed. And so that leaves us with lackluster, clunky gameplay, uninspired visuals that could have been so much better if they stylized it, a story and premise that just don't land, and bugs, performance issues, and blemishes that are present in the demo that they chose to release just 3 weeks before launch. So yeah, good luck, guys. As I said, I'll be here to check it out. I still need to think about it some more, you know, it depends. I may be busy with other games, like I'd rather focus on Crimson Desert, for example, you know, or I may be broke because, again, Crimson Desert, but I'll see. I'll go for it if people really want me to do a breakdown of it. And I'll definitely be eager to see whether the modern audience finally shows up to support their queen or not. But that's it from me on this one, fellas. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are you excited for 1348X Voto? Or are you one of the chuds who liked the IGN post to hype it up and didn't play the demo? Naughty. That's naughty behavior, fellas. That despicable even. Like, how could you? How could you do this? One way or another, you let me know, and thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Take care.